Danse, Cheyenne Gopher Natsiga Sun, Egua, Soto Iskaniganik, Bogo, Oskana Kasastegi, Niwigan Megwats. Hi, my name is Cheyenne Gopher. I'm from Soto First Nation and I live in Regina. I will be doing a presentation on my communication styles. So I will be discussing an overview of myself in regards to my communication style and my strengths, positive attributes, and areas for development. This is my presentation for my INSW 390 class, and my professor is Marlene McNabb. So an overview about myself: I was a young mother at the age of 15, so it made me grow up at a very young age with little to no skills on how to be a parent, but throughout the way I learned many lessons and many life lessons, and we're still growing. So I will discuss a little bit about my childhood. So my mom is a residential school survivor, and I am a middle child. So I have an older brother and a younger sister. So my mom was a residential school survivor, and she had us in her 30s after the loss of her mom and her dad. So after she had us, and she was a workaholic, and a single parent, because my dad wasn't around and he was too into his addiction as an alcoholic. So my mom suffered those effects. So she became a single parent and a workaholic, trying to provide for her 3 kids in the city of Saskatoon. So my mom's communication style when we were younger was a lot of yelling, a lot of swearing, and it led to a lot of spanking. And if she asked us to do something, and if we didn't do it right away, it would have led to yelling and swearing, then a spank. So my communication style growing up, it was very similar to what I've seen with my mom, with her communication style. She loved us, but my mom had a lot of traumas and hurts that she did not heal from herself. So she passed on the communication style because I learned by an example. So with her lead of example, I followed the same communication style, which I held a lot of anger and hurt, because then I lost my dad at the age of 14 and I was really close to him. So it brought on a lot of hurt, and I was very angry at the world, at everybody, and I didn't know why. And then I ended up having my son a year after that my dad passed away. So like I said, I didn't have good communication skills, just because my mother and my family, our communication style was, a lot of anger and hurt and just taking out on each other and just not too good. So when I became a mother at a young age, I realized that I was doing the same thing that my mom was doing as when we were growing up. And that was being short-tempered, being angry and yelling at the time, and taking out my hurt and frustration on my son. And it was just an overall, just a cycle, a continuous cycle. And then when I got into university, I really did a lot of self-reflecting on myself and a lot on my communication styles, and the things that I carry on from my mom, just because of the cycle of hurt and the continuous cycle of hurt. So I was carrying on this cycle of communication with my son until recently I started university, and it has really made me open up my eyes about myself and the unhealthy traits and toxic traits that I had within myself that I had to heal. So the communication style with my son, it was a lot of yelling. I could admit that. And a lot of frustrations I was taking out on him that he didn't deserve to. But now taking these classes, it really made me reflect on myself. And since then, I have been able to rekindle my relationship with my son so we can have an open dialogue, because he is 12 years old and he is going to be a teenager soon. And I want to build a good and healthy communication and a relationship with him as he gets older, because he's only getting older and I don't want him to fall into the same toxic communication style that I had growing up and as a young parent. So our relationship recently, we have been bonding one-on-one time a lot together. So we have been going for walks in the evenings, which about for an hour and a half, an hour, and it gives us a lot of time to talk and to build our relationship. And now, currently, I could honestly say that our communications from last year to now has really changed, and we're able to speak to each other. And I could talk to my son and tell him what's bothering me, and if he's getting mad or if he's not listening, I ask him a couple times and I say, can you please do this, because I don't want to start getting mad, I don't want to be yelling, I don't want to get angry, I don't just want you to do your job that you're supposed to do. So with the class and with all the knowledge that I have been gaining, I have been correcting my own communication style. Also, my communication style with my partner as well. I bring a lot of these resources and knowledge that I learn in our classes into my relationship, and I just tell my boyfriend and my partner that it's good to have a positive communication style so we could both tell each other what's on our mind or what's bothering us, instead of holding it in, or how you approach people, your tone of voice. So we've been building our communication also since I started university, because I've been not only real self-reflecting, but it pushes me to do a lot of self-work within myself. So everything is getting better with my family, which is good. And with my mom, she has been on her own healing journey ever since we've become adults. It has given her a lot of time to self-reflect on herself, and now we don't hold that anger against each other, because we were able to discuss everything in the past of what bothered us, what made us hurt, why we were hurt, and we apologized. So now our communication style with my mom and my brother and my sister is really open. We're able to express ourselves and tell each other how we're feeling, and listening to each other and giving advice when it's needed, or just being an ear to listen. So now, since growing up and becoming adults, our communication style has really changed. And now we realize what my mom had went through in residential school and why she carried on that hurt. So now I'm able to talk to my son about that, and just tell him the importance of having healthy communication style with others, because it is very important on how you approach somebody, how you talk to them with tone of voice, and how you respond is really important. And listening and showing that you're listening also is really important. So I'm happy where I am in my life right now with my little family and my immediate family, my mom, my brother, and my sister, because we are aiming towards healthy relationships with each other and just breaking the cycle, and having healthy dialogue to pass on to our children and to our grandchildren. And we do lead it by example, and we have little ones watching us. So it is good to have good communication style with your family, because little ones are watching and you lead by example, and they will act what they see. So that is just an overview about myself. My strengths that in my communication style would have to be, I have become more vocal in expressing myself and how I feel. I also am a good listener. There is stuff that I have to work on with my listening, but I have become a more better listener. And my body language, I have changed my body language. Also, with my communication style, I realize when I present, I do get nervous. So it's good to have a couple test runs so I'm not so nervous. Also, with realizing that I say or like a lot. So I have been working on that by not trying to say those so much and just rolling with what is on my mind and with what I'm going to say, instead of stopping myself and second guessing myself by saying or like. So I have become a better listener. I am able to express myself. I have positive listening skills in regards to not interrupting somebody when they're talking to me. If they're telling me a really personal or deep story, I have realized that sometimes that I can cut people off and, try and say, try to add a comment or a heartfelt comment when I realize that I shouldn't, because some people just need to get their problems off their chest and they just need an ear to listen. So with my communication style, I realize my positive attributes are, I am a good listener, I'm trustworthy, I'm dependent, I am motivated for change for myself. And I realize that I am really resilient, because topics that I'd never had a voice before, I am speaking about now. And, I am voicing my concerns and my opinions on important topics that to me. Whereas I never did that before, because I didn't want to sound like I didn't know anything or not knowledgeable. But I have voiced my opinion more, which is good, because I used to bite my tongue, and now I feel that I want to give a voice to those that don't have a voice, and a voice for our ancestors, because they endured quite a bit for us to get where we are right now. And for areas of development, I would have to say just working on my nervousness, because I do get really nervous over the littlest things. If I have to present, my face starts going red, I start getting sweaty, I start getting nervous within myself. I could feel myself getting heated up. I start stumbling my words, and to the point it has made me cry before. Another thing that I am working on is just listening more and not interrupting, and just being that ear to listen. Another area that I need to work on is I acknowledge that I'm sensitive. I am really sensitive, and I get really hurt easily. So when I'm having a discussion with somebody, I get offensive right away, and it goes straight to my emotions, and I could get upset, I start to cry, or I could get angry. Or I've realized that my tone of voice, if I'm upset with something that someone had said to me, if they're coming off rude, I realize that I do match their tone, my tone with their tone. So that's something that I have to work on, is just not letting things affect me emotionally, and not crying or getting mad, and just take a breather, take 5 seconds, and then just proceed with what I'm going to say and leave it at that. I don't have to come back with a negative response, but I realize that I want to come back with an educational response. So if you're going to say hurtful things to me, you know, I could come back with you with a positive response, because I don't want to match that anger with each other anymore. And those are areas that I feel that I need to work on. And I know that there is more areas that I need to work on, but that is my presentation. So I gave you an overview of myself, my communication style, my positive attributes, and areas that I need to work on. Hi, can I scoop in?